So in my first video, I covered the MCU Phase 1, and I gave you guys my top 5 picks for what you should watch if you're, leading up to Avengers Doomsday. You kind of have to get picky the more you go on, and Phase 2 is definitely the start of that because I really struggled to pick 5. Now, granted, there's only 6 films, but with Phase 1, it was easier to eliminate, Iron Man 2 because I feel like that was not as essential. However, it feels like every movie in this phase is pretty damn essential. But I do think I got it narrowed down to my top 5. And with that being said, we'll get right into it with Iron Man 3. Now, this one is the one that I had on the fence, honestly, mainly. But I think it does enough for Iron Man's character development where I think it's essential. Now, Iron Man 2 had a pretty big plot point with his suit poisoning him, but honestly, this one delves more into his mental state, and I think that's a little bit more important, especially as these movies go on. I think they address stuff from this one more. It also, establishes some side characters that do come back, so I think it is important to point out. Marvel's Iron Man 3 pits brash but brilliant industrialist Tony Stark against an enemy whose reach knows no bounds. When Stark finds his personal world destroyed at his enemy's hands, he embarks on a harrowing quest to find those responsible. This journey, at every turn, will test his mettle. With his back against the wall, Stark is left to survive by his own devices, relying on his ingenuity and instincts to protect those closest to him. As he fights his way back, Stark discovers the answer to the question that has secretly haunted him. Does the man make the suit, or does the suit make the man? And that, guys, is one of the main reasons why I included this one above, the other one that I had to cut. It's because it dives into what makes Tony Stark, and there's that line in the Avengers. Hopefully you've seen it by now if you're watching this video, but big man in a suit of armor, take that off, and what are you? And then the everything special about you came out of a bottle. Those lines come into play, and this is one scenario where that happens. And it's a really good way of showing that Tony is definitely not just his suits. I mean, he is his brain. He is him. Literally him. This is honestly, in my opinion, an overhated Iron Man movie. Now, by no means, I don't think it's like a super amazing one. But, I mean, out of the 3, it's definitely not the worst. And I think it dives into a lot of important stuff with Tony. Next up, I'm going to include Thor: The Dark World. Again, this is one that, honestly, guys, I kind of did not want to include, but the things it introduces, specifically a certain element, both literally and physically, or literally and metaphorically, is very important, not to mention his relationship with Jane and all this other stuff. Because in the aftermath of Marvel's Thor and Marvel's The Avengers, Thor fights to restore order across the cosmos, but an ancient alien race, led by the vengeful Malekith, returns to plunge the universe back into darkness. Faced with an enemy that even Odin and Asgard cannot withstand, Thor must embark on his most perilous and personal journey yet, one that will reunite him with Jane Foster and force him to sacrifice everything to save us all. And this is a very I go back and forth with it because, honestly, guys, I don't really like this movie, but it does a lot of stuff good, like his, deepening his relationship with his brother. His relationship with Jane gets expanded, both for better and for worse. And just his world gets built upon, and it's still in that area where it's very Shakespearean and cosmic before it gets in a different direction. I think this one's very important just for like I said, the element alone, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you've seen them, and if you haven't seen them, you'll know what I'm talking about eventually when you see it. But yeah, this one's very important in my opinion in this phase. Next up, another very important one, but also probably the best, if not one of the best easily, MCU movies in the entire MCU, even to this day. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. After the cataclysmic events in New York with the Avengers, Marvel's Captain America: The Winter Soldier finds Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, living quietly in Washington, D.C., and trying to adjust to the modern world. But when a S.H.I.E.L.D. colleague comes under attack, Steve becomes embroiled in a web of intrigue that threatens to put the world at risk. Joining forces with the Black Widow, Captain America struggles to expose the ever-widening conspiracy while fighting off professional assassins sent to silence him at every turn. When the full scope of the villainous plot is revealed, Captain America and the Black Widow enlist the help of a new ally, the Falcon. However, they soon find themselves up against an unexpected and formidable enemy, the Winter Soldier. Now, if you've seen this movie, you understand just how many things they introduce in this that are like, they carry forward in such immense ways. This is probably one of the most important movies we've talked about to this point. I know we're only in phase 2, but still, I mean, it carries, trust me. Not to mention the directors for this one go on to direct, another Captain America movie and the 2 Avengers movies we've received, but also supposedly the next 2 Avengers movies that we have coming out soon with Doomsday and Secret Wars. So this movie has a lot on its shoulders and it carries a lot, but damn does it deliver. It delivers so well. It's a spy thriller, action, still has some of the MCU humor, builds on Steve and Natasha's relationship, and that will carry through to, Avengers Endgame. It builds on, or it establishes, I guess, Steve and Sam's relationship, aka the Falcon, and that is also a very important one to have. And it also introduces the Winter Soldier, a very, very, very important character. So, yeah, there's a lot here that's like, this is easily one of the easiest picks I've had to make where I'm like, yeah, you guys need to see this. And if you have seen it, you completely understand what I'm talking about. Because like I mentioned before, I am avoiding spoilers in case anybody who has not seen the MCU is using this list to kind of take themselves through it in a kind of Cliff Notes way. But yeah, nonetheless, super, super important. I think it's more than worth a watch. Even if you're not preparing for Doomsday, I think it's just a good watch. So yeah, moving on, I have Guardians of the Galaxy, an action-packed epic space adventure. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy expands the Marvel Cinematic Universe into the cosmos. Because Thor kind of touches on it, but this is where it truly just goes balls to the wall. Where brash adventurer Peter Quill finds himself the object of an unrelenting bounty hunt after stealing a mysterious orb coveted by Ronan, a powerful villain with ambitions that threaten the entire universe. To evade the ever-persistent Ronan, Quill is forced into an uneasy truce with a quartet of disparate misfits. Rocket, a gun-toting raccoon, Groot, a tree-like humanoid, the deadly and enigmatic Gamora, the revenge-driven Drax the Destroyer. But when Quill discovers the true power of the orb and the menace it poses to the cosmos, he must do his best to rally his ragtag rivals for a last, desperate stand with the galaxy's fate in the balance against Ronan the Accuser. And this movie, guys, I'm going to be honest. I'm not a huge James Gunn fan. I'm not a fan of his style a bunch, and I was not really a huge fan of this movie. Even to this day, I mean, I think it's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying not really for me, and if I have the choice to pick up one out of this phase, this isn't usually one of them. But I will say it's very, very important. The orb specifically, obviously all of these characters are important to the MCU, this team. And just diving into the cosmic side of the MCU, a lot of stuff in this movie comes back in the future or is important to the future. So I think that this is a very essential must-watch. I think they balance the team dynamic really well. The stuff they introduce in this one specifically is so, I guess, it's gigantic, honestly. And they introduce it so casually that some people may miss it, especially if you don't know what you're looking out for. But if you go back and rewatch it, you're like, oh my God, they just casually dropped that there? Okay. I mean, hey, no complaints. But I'm just saying, this one is definitely a must-watch. It sucks that I don't want to talk about spoilers because I feel like I'm having to be so mysterious about all this and having to kind of avoid certain specific details, but just trust me. Even if you're not a fan of James Gunn's style, I think this one is worth the watch just for the implications it has on the future of the MCU in general. Last but not least, I had to pick between Avengers: Age of Ultron and Ant-Man. And when I was coming down to this decision, honestly, the decision was between Ant-Man and Iron Man 3. And I picked Iron Man 3 because I feel that it does more for Tony's character that's very important and does truly carry through, while also advancing stuff in the greater MCU. Ant-Man, of course, is a big player and a big character, and it also does quite a bit for the MCU, but it's not exactly as important as Iron Man 3. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I mean, you guys will see Ant-Man again, and I don't think it's, super duper important. That being said, Marvel Studios presents Avengers: Age of Ultron, the epic follow-up to the biggest superhero movie of all time. When Tony Stark tries to jumpstart a dormant peacekeeping program, things go awry and Earth's mightiest heroes, including Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, along with support from Nick Fury and Maria Hill, are put to the ultimate test as the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. As the villainous Ultron emerges, it is up to the Avengers to stop him from enacting his terrible plans. And soon, uneasy alliances and unexpected action pave the way for an epic and unique global adventure. This one, I would say all Avengers movies are must-watches no matter which phase they're in, to be honest with you guys. Number one, you get that team dynamic, like I mentioned. They also introduce a lot of crazy concepts, and this one introduces some new characters that are very vital to the future. And this is where the other ones come into play, like seeing the Winter Soldier before you watch this. Very essential, because they talk about stuff in this that happens in that one, and you could just really start to see the plot through lines start to pop up, which I like. It's very this is a very unique one because not a lot of people love this one. It's not as universally loved, but I think it's very good. I think Ultron is a very compelling villain, especially in regards to like Tony Stark. They dive a lot into Tony Stark creating a villain and I guess what that means for the team. And there's a certain side character that is another robot that's introduced in this that is very essential, especially when we get to a movie like Infinity War. So, just keep your eyes open for that. There's plot devices and stuff like that. There's just a lot of stuff in this one that is integral. And I like these first couple phases so far because honestly, most of these movies, or every one of these movies I've listed, have truly been essential. There's not really one where I'm like, oh, I gotta add one just to make it 5. I'm like, no, like I told you guys in this one, I've had to cut one, and I had a hard time doing it because they all seem that vital and that essential to the greater story. But with that being said, I do think this is the strongest 5 out of this phase to watch going forward. So be sure to look out for my phase 3 video. I think that's it for this one, though. I don't want to ramble on too much, but if you're looking for a quick watch along, hopefully this is helping you. Let me know what you guys think of these movies down below, what your ranking is, if you've seen them. If you haven't, come back to this one, and then let me know what you thought of them. What was your favorite, your least favorite? Do you think I could have, I should have swapped Ant-Man in for something else? You think it should replace Iron Man 3? I don't know. Let me know down below. I appreciate you sticking around this long if you have, and I will see you guys in phase 3.